Hi, and welcome to Swedish Plantguys. In this video, we take a look at the method of using one of your fingers to check the soil to know when to water again. Now, how does this actually work? And why is it probably one of the easiest methods of knowing when to water again? Let's go. Now, we can never tell you exactly how much to water your plants or how often to water your plants. There are just too many variables. You have light, temperature, humidity, soil composition, seasons, drafts. The list just goes on and on. So we have to have some form of a method that can help us with when to water again. We normally recommend on this channel that you use a method which is by using your finger to feel the soil down into the pot. We usually say that you feel the soil 1 to 2 inches down, which means 2.5 to 5 centimeters down into the pot. When you feel that that soil is dry, then you water again. Now, there are 3 more ways of doing this. But we usually think that this method is one of the easiest way to do this. But we have 3 more methods in another video you can go and watch. They also work perfectly. So why is this method probably the easiest way of knowing when to water again? Well, we have to know that different plant roots have different ways of coping with either drying up or being wet over long periods of time. So what we're speaking of here is a general meaning of most indoor tropical plants or most Mediterranean plants. And most of plants actually want to have their roots moist at all time. Not dry and not wet, somewhere in between, meaning that the roots always have some form of access to water. But the problem is that when we go to either one of those extremes, when we let the soil dry up too much, the roots can get damaged, or when we water too much, the roots can get damaged. Now, this is where physics come in. Water has an ability we call capillary action. Capillary action means that water has 2 small abilities. One is that the water molecules are able to bind themselves together, hold on to each other. That is called cohesion. They also have the ability to bind themselves to other particles, like soil particles. That is called adhesion. So this capillary action actually makes the water move upwards in your pot. Now we're going to show you what that means. We have a plant here that has been standing in water. We put it down into a bucket of approximately 2 inches or 5 centimeters of water, and we let it sit there for about 30-40 minutes. What happens is this. Now we can see here that we had water coming up around this size here, or around 2 inches. But you have water now in the soil here that goes up maybe twice as much. So let's say around 4 inches or 10 centimeters here. Then the soil is dry again. That is the capillary action, meaning that the water has actually traveled from here up to here by moving and using the soil particles in the soil. Now, if we let the plant sit in water for a longer period of time, we have a plant here that has been standing in the same amount of water, but for 24 hours. What happens? Well, what happens is this. You get water in the entire ball of roots or the entire soil inside of this pot. It is moist all the way. Now, this is also the capillary action that water has moved up and is now everywhere in the pot. However, and this is really, really important for this, if we take a closer look to this, it's actually like this. We have much more water in the bottom of the pot than we have in the top here. And that is because we have a couple of other forces trying to counter that capillary action. First of all, we have gravity. So gravity is trying to pull the water down into the pot again, down to here. That is one reason why we have more water here than we have up here. Now the second thing is, of course, that the plant will start to drink the water. The roots will start to absorb water. As it does that, it will also start to dry up this root ball or this soil ball here. But it will dry up quicker on top than at the bottom here, because you have less water due to gravity on top. Now the third thing here is, of course, that some of the water on top here will evaporate, meaning it will evaporate from the top soil here out into the air. So to summarize, due to these different forces within the pot here, what we will eventually have is that we will have a gradual moisture in the soil, and you will have more water in the bottom of the pot and then gradually less towards the top. So going back to the method of using your finger to feel the soil. If we feel down here 1 to 2 inches or 2.5 to 5 centimeters down into the pot, and it is dry, then at least we know that it's dry down to here. It could be moist further down, but we also know that if it was dry up here, it will not be extremely wet down in the bottom, meaning that the roots are probably ready to be watered again. Always use drainage holes so that you're not having water standing in the pot. But if you feel the soil like this and you realize that it's still moist on top, then you know that you will have a lot of water, or it will probably be quite wet down by most of the roots. So then we don't water, we wait until it gets to be dry on top. So to quickly summarize all this, 1. Most plants want to have moisture around the roots at all time, but it cannot stand in water for a long period of time, and it cannot dry up too much for a long period of time. That will damage the roots and potentially the entire plant. Number 2, due to something called capillary action in the water, we know that the water will move from the bottom of the pot up towards the top. Due to gravity and other forces, we know that we will have more moisture or water in the bottom of the pot than at the top. Number 3, so by using our finger to feel the soil, we know that if the top soil is dry, we can guess that it will probably be moist at the bottom of the pot, but not extremely wet, because then we would also have moisture at the top. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. That really helps our channel a lot. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. Hit the bell as well so you get a notification every time we put up something new. You can follow us on Facebook and Instagram, where you can get sneak previews on upcoming videos and sometimes a little bit more. Now until next time, hej då!